All right, let's dive into something pretty wild today. We're going to explore a really radical set of ideas from a teacher named Bashar. It's a perspective that honestly challenges pretty much everything we think we know about the world around us. So let's get right into it.
Everything really kicks off with this one powerful idea. The reality you experience, it isn't some fixed external thing that's happening to you. It's actually a projection of what's happening inside of you. This single, kind of mind-bending concept is the foundation for everything else we're about to talk about. So, to get our heads around this, we're going to break it down into 4 simple parts. We'll start with the revolutionary idea itself, then we'll look at how it works, what it means for you and me, and finally, how we can actually use it.
Okay, first up, Section 1, a revolutionary idea. This is really where we start to unpack the fundamental shift in thinking that this whole philosophy is asking us to make. Here's the core question we have to grapple with. Our default setting is to think that the world is out there, solid, separate from us. But this idea asks us to play with a totally different possibility. What if the outer world is nothing more than a mirror, a perfect feedback loop for our inner world? So, if the world is a reflection, how does that even work? That brings us right into Section 2. You don't create, you choose. And this idea totally flips the script on what we think it means to create our lives.
The whole mechanism behind this is the concept of parallel realities. Just imagine for a second that every possible version of reality, every choice, every outcome, every single path already exists all at once. This means we're not struggling to build a reality from nothing. Instead, we are constantly, moment by moment, just selecting a pre-existing version that happens to match our internal frequency.
Here's a fantastic way to think about it. Picture reality as this massive streaming service with trillions, and I mean trillions, of movies all playing at the same time. You're not filming a new movie, you're just picking which one to watch. And the remote control you use to change the channel? Well, that's your personal frequency, the signal created by your beliefs and your emotions.
This really drives home what a huge paradigm shift this is. We're so used to thinking of life as one single linear timeline, right? But this view suggests that we're actually shifting maybe billions of times per second between different static now moments. We aren't moving through time, we're jumping between totally separate parallel realities. And this leads us perfectly into Section 3, the world as your mirror. If we're choosing realities instead of building them, what does that actually mean for our day-to-day experience? It means the relationship between you and the world, it is not what it seems.
So here's the major implication. We usually think that external events cause our feelings. Bad traffic happens, and then we feel angry. This model completely inverts that. It says your internal state comes first, and the world just reflects that state back to you. The outside is the effect, not the cause.
And here's the nuts and bolts of how that process works. It's like a 3-step flow. It starts with your internal state, your collection of beliefs, your emotions, the definitions you assign to things. This state then emits a very specific frequency, your unique signal. And finally, your external reality perfectly mirrors that signal back to you as people, circumstances, and events. It's a total inside-out job.
Now, while this is a metaphysical concept, what's really interesting is that you see these echoes in science. In neuroscience, we know our brain doesn't just passively see the world, it actively interprets it based on our existing patterns. And in quantum physics, you have the famous observer effect, which suggests that the act of observing something can actually change it. Now, these aren't proofs, but they do show that even our conventional view of reality is already being seriously questioned. Which brings us to the final, and honestly, the most practical part. Section 4, the power of your frequency. Because if the world really is just a mirror, then the only thing we can ever really change is what we're projecting in the first place. So what exactly is this vibration or frequency? It's really just the sum total of everything going on inside of you, your emotions, your deepest beliefs, your intentions. Think of reality as a completely neutral, blank canvas. Your vibration, well, that's the paintbrush. It doesn't create the canvas, but it determines the entire picture that shows up on it.
And here is the most liberating part of this whole idea, that canvas has no memory. It doesn't care about the frequency you had yesterday or 5 years ago. It only and always responds to the signal you're sending out right now. That means every single moment is a totally fresh start, a brand new chance to paint a completely different picture.
So this leads to a super common and, let's face it, often frustrating question that we've all had. We work hard, we want certain things, but some doors just seem to stay locked. Why does it feel like some opportunities, some experiences, are just completely out of reach for us? The answer, from this perspective, is both incredibly simple and pretty profound. If something isn't a match to your frequency, it literally does not exist in your reality. It's not being kept from you. It's that you literally cannot perceive it. I mean, you could be staring right at a golden opportunity, but if you're not on the same wavelength, you wouldn't even recognize it for what it is. As the source material says, it would be invisible, kind of like a radio station that your receiver just isn't tuned to pick up. So what's the ultimate takeaway here? The game is not about more struggle, not about more physical effort. It's about vibrational alignment. Reality isn't responding to what you say you want. It's responding to your actual state of being. The goal is to shift from a state of asking for something and waiting for it to a state of becoming an energetic match to it. And that leaves us with a final, really powerful reframing of the whole thing. According to this philosophy, the most effective question we can ever ask ourselves isn't, why isn't this happening for me? It's what belief, what emotion, what definition inside of me is still operating at a frequency that's making my desired reality invisible to me. It turns the whole search for answers back inside, to the only place where change can ever really begin.